It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 142.
So when you see a shear burst on the head of your fastener, or your customer does, we have two scenarios. One is we're going to look at that and we're going to say, that's ugly as sin. I don't want it. Get rid of it. I don't care what the standard says. And if that's the case, the customer doesn't like the look of it, there's probably not very much you can do about it unless you prefer to harass that customer into keeping the product. On the other hand,
it's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the mighty FCH Sourcing Network. If you're a fastener professional, or perhaps you're an interested civilian observer of the fastener industry, well, this is the podcast for you. We're glad you clicked in, everybody. We're back with another episode of predominantly fastener-related talk radio. Hi, everybody. Eric Dudas with you. And I'm joined, as always, by lifetime honorary Texan and code slinger extraordinaire, Brian Musker. Hey, Brian, you doing all right?
Doing both those things at the moment, actually. I'm doing good.
Yes, the heat of the summer can't stop you, can it?
No, I live for this time of the year. I mean, I hate the cold. So this is, even though it's got a little bit oppressive at times, I make sure I don't say anything about it because I bitch about the winter, not the summer.
Ironic that you headed down to Australia just a couple of weeks ago during their winter, isn't it? I didn't think of that.
Right, it was. Well, I wasn't in charge of the timing, okay? But it was, you're right. But however, winter in Sydney is about equivalent to late summer in Chicago.
Right, it's relatively gentle. I realize that. Well, I'm glad you made it back, and we're both glad that you all, dear listeners, made it back to the podcast. On this, episode 142 of Fully Threaded Radio, this time we're publishing on July 14th, 2019. Once again, we've got a strong lineup for you, everybody, with something for everyone. Our feature segment today is a conversation with STAFDA CEO, Georgia Foley. Now, she's interviewed by Marty Nolan of R.L. English. Marty did such a great job when you sat down with him, Bri. I figured I'd give him the mic once again. And
that's fine. He did a good job, actually.
Yeah, he did. And he does a good one again. A lot of people know about STAFDA. Many of our listeners attend. Some think about it. You'll learn a lot more about what STAFDA is all about and its background when you hear Georgia speak. We'll also hear from the newest president of the National Fastener Distributors Association. He's Doug Ruggles of Martin Supply. Doug is a relative newcomer to the fastener industry, but as you'll hear, he's got some big plans for the NFDA, and he's a very solid businessman, and he's no stranger to the industrial supply field. So I think he's very well equipped to lead our National Fastener Association. And we alluded to the fact that the summer has heated up, but the FDI may be cooling off a little bit, Bri.
Yeah, I noticed that, actually.
Innovative Components President Mike O'Connor joins Fastener Technology International editor Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report today to kick those numbers around, figure out what actually is going on, and what is causing the industry's sentiment to come up with the numbers, which we're not going to reveal at this moment, but if you haven't heard already, they're definitely not where they have been, put it that way.
Yeah.
And as always, Carmen Vertullo is back with the Fastener Training Minute. This time, surface discontinuities, which I would probably call ugly bolts.
Or ugly marks and bolts.
yeah, are the topics.
Okay.
Learn all about what to do when you get just a batch of very unpleasant looking material. That's the Fastener Training Minute. And we'll wind up the podcast today, Bri, with a little conversation on a headline that was passed along to us also by Carmen, dealing with some very ugly bolts, although not really the kind that he explains in the Fastener Training Minute.
But a bolt with a twist.
Yeah, or a sprain maybe.
Yeah.
You'll find out what we're alluding to if you stick around until the end of the podcast today, folks, which we hope you will. Thank you so much for listening. And thanks also to our great lineup of sponsors. Brian, who might they be?
Wow, yeah, we do have great sponsors. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast and Brighton Best International. Stelfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And Brighton Best International, tested, tried, and true. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, International Fastener Expo, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, Volt Industrial Plastics, The Worth Group, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. So thanks to all of you. We couldn't make our podcast without our sponsors, and so make sure you think of them next time you're looking for fasteners, okay?
Good advice, Bri. Thank you, one and all. We'd be very happy to hear from you, everybody. Get with us at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com and check out our occasional Twitter posts under the handle Fully Threaded. Before we dive into the episode in earnest today, Bri, I want to kick things off by congratulating my friend. He's an engineer for Worth, based here in the Cleveland area. He's Scott Lee. And together we were a team in Mark Strandquist's annual fishing contest that he holds up in northern Wisconsin, Bri. And,
Yeah.
you know, Scott has been a real trooper, and he's pounded the water for years and years. And he landed one of his largest muskies fishing out of the back of my boat. And as a team, we were able to take home the most muskies in the boat prize. So congrats on really hooking them up, Scott, and getting a personal best. Most muskies in, I guess, a 2-day period.
So how many muskies was that?
I think he wound up with 11 or 12 for the 2 days. And as a team, we put 4 legal fish in the boat for that period. It was pretty good.
Wow. I've never caught a single muskie in Wisconsin, let alone 4 in 2 days.
Yeah, a lot of people make jokes about the only bites you get in Wisconsin are from the mosquitoes. I've heard them all.
Right, I'm one of those people who makes those jokes, okay?
Yeah. But Mark's sitting up there on a very nice lake, and we had a great time. He was a very generous host, he and Vonda, as always. In case you were wondering, everybody, who came in second place? Well, it was Team Green, led by Steve Green, also of Worth. He's based out of Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure those guys put 3 legal fish in the boat, but man, they fished their guts out. They took home the Northern Pike class, and it was a real battle. Real fun event, and we don't want to get probably too much more into it because I know a lot of people in the audience probably don't give a damn what our fishing was like, but it's important to us, and it's predominantly fastener related, everybody. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, because you could have been using a lure that had FCH on it. It would be the fastener connection.
It's a stretch, but good, Bri. Yes, that's true. We're going to return to the more solidly fastener-related material right after a short break, everybody. Just before we do that, we'd like to thank you once again for listening to Fully Threaded Radio and remind you it really does help us when you let our sponsors know that you're listening to the podcast, that you enjoy it. Perhaps you heard about them through the podcast. Don't hesitate to let them know that. And if you tell your friends and associates about the podcast, we're always looking to grow the audience. It's amazing to me that we still run into people at the trade shows and the associations and so forth who haven't heard the name Fully Threaded yet. So your help would come in real handy, and Brian and I would appreciate it greatly.
Right.
Hey, everyone. We'll be back to put a wrench to this one in a minute. And you know what it is. It's Fully Threaded Radio.
These guys aren't screwing around much. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio, Internet Talk Radio for the fastener industry.
At Brighton Best, we continue to expand our wide range of products, including stainless steel and metric fasteners. Our family of brands include Preferred, US Anchor, and Ironclad Performance Wear. BBI has been a trusted partner since 1925. With award-winning hand tools, gloves, and drywall screws, BBI is the largest master distributor of fasteners in the USA. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best. To learn more about Brighton Best, visit brightonbest.com.
Need fasteners? Fully threaded radio listeners know that StelFast offers over 12,000 fastener items direct from stock, including bolts, cap screws, nuts, screws, and washers in a variety of finishes. Per print, specials, and standards, StelFast has been a global sourcing leader since 1972. As an ISO-certified supplier with facilities across North America and Asia, each member of the StelFast team is dedicated to supporting fastener distributors with the highest quality products and service possible. That's why the motto remains, for service you deserve and people you trust, it's StelFast.
Hello.
Hello.
You've been walking the Fastener Show for a while?
Yes. However, I'm wearing very comfortable shoes.
How would you like some Old Rusty Bolt beer?
I'm not a smart man, but Mama warned me about these things.
Well, that's probably because Mama never tried Old Rusty Bolt. Only the finest beverage in the fastener business.
All right. I'll give it a try. This is pretty good. I'm starting to feel funny. Jenny! Something's happening. Whoa. I feel.
Sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
Old Rusty Bolt, making the fastener world feel smarter, one beer at a time. So how do you feel?
I gotta pay.
I believe he said he had to pee. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt beer, official beer of the traveling salesman.
Hi, this is John Riddell from Solution Industries, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
John Solution Man Riddell bringing us back.
But to reality.
Oh, I certainly hope not. No to the podcast, Bri.
Oh, okay.
And who better? John Riddell, he who identifies as Wi-Fi, everyone, let's not forget.
Yeah.
Don't have any follow-up on that. Remember last episode we reported that he was trying to become the first, I guess, non-female Wi-Fi member? I don't know. Is that even, can you say that? Or I don't know where to go with that. But anyway, welcome back to the show.
Okay. So, stumbling from one hot topic to yet another.
That's what we do. Well, it's the heat of summer.
I can tell.
Fortunately, despite what we might hear eventually about the FDI, the FCH sourcing network is still jamming along. We're getting a lot of traffic through FCH. Folks, you know where to go. It's fastenersclearinghouse.com. Anytime you need to find a hard-to-locate fastener inventory item, or if you're looking to move inventory or track new business, get out to the FCH sourcing network. Brian, you're doing quite a bit of scrubber work for various companies lately. I've seen a lot of days you're offline because you're huddled in your office. You're using the FCH scrubber to help people do what? Mainly to get online or to create their shopping cart systems? What are you doing mostly?
Well, it's a sort of a, sort of one and the same thing. It's mainly, companies that are deciding they want to put their inventory online to either to list it or so they can use shopping carts. But then they realize that the descriptions that they have in their own inventory are not really good enough to put online. I mean, it's fine because they all know what these things mean and they use the part number anyway. But if they want to list the fact that they've got some, external threaded inserts on their website, then that's not the description that they have in their own master file. So what I do is sort of categorizing the inventory and saying, hey, these are all inserts and these are all bolts, and you could use this description if you wanted to generate it from brand new to list it on the web so other people know what it really is.
There's also a lot of part number cross-referencing that you're doing, aren't you?
That varies. The answer is that goes on continuously, okay? Because anyone using in SQL software who is trying to look up matching part numbers from StelFast, that facility would come through FCH unbeknown to them, and we would they'd get the answers back automatically.
Keep up the good work, Bri.
Right.
If you're a fastener professional handling some fastener inventory issues, you're not sure what to do, if you've got to clean up a whole bunch of real ugly data, or if you need to do some part number cross-referencing, perhaps you're going on with an ERP or you're going online with a shopping cart system, give us a call.
Yeah, we can make your life easier. A lot.
The scrubber can probably help you. All part of the FCH sourcing network. Well, it's good to be settled back in the office for a little while, Bri, after all of our chaotic travels in the earlier part of the year. And I wound down my furious travel schedule with some fishing, but just ahead of that, I was down in Cincinnati at the NFDA meeting, and I had a chance to talk with Doug Ruggles, who's the new NFDA president.
Cool, yeah.
We set up an interview, which I think turned out very well. Why don't we get to that now?
Yeah.
For over 50 years, the National Fastener Distributors Association has been a part of the fastener industry, providing networking opportunities and critical resources. I had the chance to attend the annual summer meeting recently, which was held down in Cincinnati, and to talk to the new president of the NFDA. He is Mr. Doug Ruggles. He's with Martin Supply down in Florence, Alabama. Doug, thanks for hopping on the podcast with us. Congratulations on your tenure at the NFDA.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to be with you. Pleasure to meet you again.
Well, I just mentioned in that preamble that the NFDA is a great place to do networking, and that's exactly what happened there. And I saw you did quite a bit of it yourself.
Certainly. You know, when you look at what the NFDA is and what we try to do, our purpose statement for the organization is to help our members thrive. And so a lot of what the NFDA does, and this is part of what we're doing as a board and focused on after our strategic planning process about a year and a half ago, is really to facilitate that relationship between fastener industry professionals. And at the core of why do we exist, that's what we're trying to do. And a lot of that is through our meetings that we have annually. Some of them are with other regional associations, but we provide that information on the marketplace, what's happening, executive education and development. That's what we're all about.
You know, we've made it kind of a tradition to invite all of the incoming presidents of the NFDA onto the podcast, and I think all of them have taken us up on it, and sort of lay out what they see for the upcoming year. And I know there's a lot of carrying the baton. Kelly Cole had a lot of things going, and he's passing it off to you, but you probably have a lot of your own ideas as well. What do you see for the next year, Doug?
Well, there's a few points that we are highly focused on as an organization. All associations are focused on growth and membership. And so we're trying to understand what is it that a distributor or an associate member needs from the NFDA. And we're trying to encompass our value proposition and put that together and enhance our marketing of that message. The other thing that we're focused on is looking at our meeting structure and our meeting schedules as the meetings across this industry have grown, and now we have more than we had even 4 years ago. We're trying to look at, all right, what is the most efficient thing that we can do to provide to our customers, who are the distributors and the associate members, to make sure that we are facilitating, as I said, that relationship of what we do with our creating more interactive discussion opportunities. You know, Eric, at the meeting in Cincinnati, which was a fantastic meeting with topics, we implemented the roundtable discussion process, which is something I picked up from a different association that I'm part of, and that being NAW, National Wholesale Association of Wholesalers. And that is, when you have a topic or two that is presented, then have some roundtables so that everyone can learn from each other. So you have a table of 8 people from the industry, they're professionals. You all have thoughts and make notes during any topic that's presented. And then we share that and explore best practices with each company. So those are the type of things that we are focused on and trying to drive. And all of that will result in growth and membership for the organization, which will lead to more distributors hearing about it, which will lead to more distributors joining, which one will beget the other, and then we'll have a growing, thriving organization.
I think people agree with you. Those were very productive sessions. The Pac West has been doing those, and I agree. It's just great. Now, we jumped right into NFDA business during this conversation,
Sure.
and I didn't give you an opportunity to present your background, but you're clearly involved with other associations, the NAW. What is the background that you bring into this role as president of the NFDA, Doug?
Well, my role with our family business, we're an 85-year-old industrial safety integrated and fastener distributor. So we have all those verticals that we're going to the market, primarily focused on the Southeast, but today we're covering helping customers operate better, which is our purpose statement for our company. And we're doing that across the United States, into Mexico, and into Canada today. So throughout my career, as I've learned and taking on different roles, from launching our integrated supply business unit when that term was not even known in the late 80s, early 90s, is where I cut my teeth after being a salesman out in the field, and then different roles along with my brothers who are business partners with me today to run that business. Then I've shifted a little bit, took over the fastener division about 7 years ago, and have been learning that industry. So wide variety of experiences and knowledge in management, strategic planning, acquisitions of other companies to help us grow, and then personnel management. And that's all of those things are common across no matter what level of distribution that you're involved in.
Well, we all bring our own unique path to the role that we find ourselves in at the moment, and so that's yours, and thanks for sharing that with us. Sounds like you have a very wide breadth of experience to bring to this position, and really, this thing came into your lap in an unorthodox way, didn't it?
Well, it did that. I was hadn't even thought about being on the NFDA board, and Adam Pratt reached out to me and asked if I would consider being on the board a couple of years ago, and told him I would be happy to help serve whatever I could do to help the industry grow, which would help my company at the same time. And so as I got onto the board and started to meet new people and understand what NFDA was about, and for the last couple of years, and then got the call that Dan Zender, who was vice president with Kelly, with things that were changing in his business, was going to have to step down because he couldn't fulfill the role, and he has a wonderful opportunity that's going to take him actually out of the country for a good bit of the time. So they asked if I would be interested in stepping into that role, filling it, and then sliding up after Kelly exited the presidency to take that. And I'm humbled and happy to do what I can to help drive the industry better. I've always had the mantra of whatever I'm involved in, I want to leave it better than I found it. So that is part of what drives me to try and understand this. It's quite a challenge because it's a very diversified industry. And one that has people that I'm not familiar with or haven't been familiar with, didn't grow up in the industry, but it's been a lot of fun. Met a tremendous amount of wonderful people that are truly dedicated to what they're trying to do.
Well, if you'll allow me, I will say that in the room there, when you took the podium, there was definitely a presidential feeling to the whole affair. So I think the NFDA is going to be in good hands for the next year.
Well, thank you. My joke is that this is what happens when you miss a meeting. You get nominated. So.
Yeah, I think others would get a kick out of that as well, because it is an investment of your time, isn't it? And I think that as the year goes on, and certainly as you've been on the board, you found yourself in the position of having to continuously make the case that it is worth the investment, whether you're serving on the board or you're just a dues-paying member of an organization such as NFDA.
Absolutely. Our business has grown from a very small business. When I was growing up in the business and working in the warehouse, I started working there at 10, 11 years old, and was, minimum wage was $1.25, and I was getting $1 and probably wasn't worth that. But I've watched my father, who was president of our company, who was past president of IDA, the Industrial Distribution Association. I watched how our business changed when he got involved in that. And we've grown from 30 employees back in those days to over 300. And most of that is by getting out, networking, looking for opportunities, asking questions, being open to listening and having your own ideas challenged. And you can't do that sitting in your desk or with your employees who are going to tell you what you want to hear. You got to get out, and that's what these associations facilitate, is that interactive opportunity to put your ideas out there and have other people that may be in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, challenge what you're thinking, and it will hone who you are and what you're doing. Iron sharpens iron, and that was true in biblical days, and it is true today.
Amen. The Cincinnati meeting was a joint conference that was held with the NCFA. So a lot of them drove down south to Cincinnati to participate. And what the NFDA has been doing by having these joint meetings, the previous meeting, if I recall correctly, was held with the Pac West and the MWFA. So do you plan to continue that? And what do you see as the challenges and benefits of that as really what the NFDA is shooting to do?
Working, Eric, you're spot on in that, and I hope others recognize that. What we're trying to do is pull the industry as a whole together in whatever form and fashion that is. Working with the Pac West, working with the Midwest, whatever regional organization, it helps drive membership and value. So as we can facilitate working with the YFP or the Wi-Fi or any of those organizations, it helps both organizations as long as people don't get hung up on who gets the credit for whatever is happening, and we both try to grow, then we're going to have positive impact on our members. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
Doug Ruggles, what do you see is the number one challenge facing distributors currently in North America?
Wow, number one, that's I think as we try to understand how our business has changed and is changing and not look in the rearview mirror too much. If we can look forward and have a little bit of vision, then we can help lead our individual organizations to grow and thrive. That's what the NFDA is trying to do. That's what all the local regional associations are trying to do. And going back to our purpose statement of helping our members thrive, if we can all look around the corner a little bit and then share that information, that's a hard thing to do. And it takes time. It takes money. It takes commitment. But with the things that we're doing, like the upcoming in November, the executive retreat that's in Naples, Florida, it's a wonderful opportunity to get together and share that information and discuss what you're doing, how you're looking at this challenge or that challenge, and then make those adjustments to your business, which you constantly have to do. But to me, I think that all businesses get stuck at times looking in the rearview mirror at what has happened and not understanding how your environment has changed.
I think that's a great point, and I think it's true. Hey, everybody, you can discuss this in person with Doug Ruggles at the NFDA Executive Summit meeting, which, as he said, is taking place in Naples, Florida. That'll be happening on November 3rd through the 5th, 2019. The website for the NFDA is nfda-fastener.org. All the details are there. And that's also where you can pick up the membership benefits and fill out an application to get on board with the NFDA. Can non-members participate in this meeting, Doug?
Absolutely, Eric. We would love to have anyone that is interested in attending. They can look at the website and get the contact information for Vicki Lester, or they can reach out to me directly. However they need it, we would be happy to have them attend and get to know the organization so that they can understand the value that we bring.
Perfect. Once again, everybody, get out to www.nfda-fastener.org. And you told me before we turned the recorder on, Doug, that you were heading off on vacation. This is the last stop on your week this week, so I'm keeping you. But I would like to give you just one moment to explain to everybody Martin Supply. For those not familiar, again, you're located down in Florence, Alabama. What are you involved in?
Well, we started 85 years ago as a general line industrial distributor, and we sold everything that was under the sun. But we've really honed into 4 different verticals today. We have general industrial supplies, which is hand tools and cutting tools, and all those related MRO products. Heavily involved in the safety lines. We have an integrated supply division, which is going inside of manufacturing facilities and helping them. They outsource their indirect material management, and we put people on site. It has been a big growth vertical for us. And then our OEM fastener division is the 4th leg of that stool that's helping us grow. But located, like I said, predominantly around the Southeast. But today we've spread across the country, helping our customers grow.
Since you won't mention it, I will point out that the website is martinsupply.com. Folks can get out there and further acquaint themselves with your business. And Doug, I just want to extend a word of thanks to you because I know that it's a lot of work and it's hard work to do what you're doing with the NFDA or any of the associations. And congratulations once again on becoming president of this great organization. And I guess what I'll also say is that this meeting down in Naples, everybody, is an opportunity to, in person, find out from Doug why you should never miss a board meeting.
That's exactly right. And I will say thank you, Eric, for reaching out and for facilitating this. And I'll sign off as we get close to football season with a big roll tide.
All right, I will take you up on that. Thanks for joining us on the podcast and look forward to getting reports for you as your tenure goes on. Doug Ruggles, the NFDA.
Thank you, Eric.
Hey everybody, as we've discussed, the dog days of summer have arrived and BTM Manufacturing is already looking ahead to the fall trade show season. Make plans now to visit the BTM team at the International Fastener Expo in Vegas, September 17th through the 19th, and STAFDA, November 11th and 12th. As tradition goes, we'll be brewing some of our custom U-Bolt blend coffee at the booth. As a domestic ISO 9001-2015 manufacturer of threaded fasteners and bent wire products, BTM is committed to the highest quality standards and on-time performance rate. Centrally located in Kansas City, Missouri, BTM's facility of over 100,000 square feet can easily handle both large and small projects. BTM specializes in U-bolts, anchor bolts, J-bolts, studs, rods, and per-print specials. Please visit www.btm-mfg.com to check out BTM's many capabilities. BTM Manufacturing.
Harry, how's your search for new software going?
We've looked at a lot of systems. Some were the same old technology, and others didn't seem like they knew much about what we did or needed. We did look at one company, crazy name though, I think it was InSqueakWell.
You mean INXSQL? That's InSQL. That's what we use. We've become much more efficient, and we've been able to offer our customers more services, which makes us more competitive.
Yeah, Inkswell, that's the one. They seem to be the only company that really understood what fastener distributors do for a living, and I found it easy to use.
Harry, it's InSQL, INXSQL. you don't pronounce the X. We buy a lot from several master distributors, and their direct connect simplifies the whole process. When we need pricing and availability quickly, we just hit the F12 key.
If you don't pronounce the X, why put it in there? A friend told me they get great support from NXQL.
Yes, with InSequel, our experience has been the same. Quality support. They know our business. And the best part is, no extra charges. With our old system, apparently nothing we called about was covered by support.
You know, Inkwell seems to be the right company for us.
They're called InSequel, INXSQL. Go to their website, www.inxsql.com, or call them at 877-446-9775.
Hey mates, Brian Muscat. Regardless of the required size, material or finish, Eurolink has the European resources to meet your demands for hard-to-find metric fasteners. We're the one-stop source for all of your metric needs, saving you time and money searching for these parts while fulfilling all of your requirements. How do we do it? Eurolink offers access to more than 100,000 quality C-class parts with the ability to solve your toughest metric fastener supply issues every time. Hard-to-find metric fasteners? Delivered. Just think of us as your heavy metal rock stars. To learn more about how we can rock your world or request a hassle-free quote online, visit eurolinkfss.com. That's eurolinkfss.com.
Hey, this is David with ND Industries. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Back with you, doing the job most fastener professionals won't do.
Right.
You've heard it before, Brian. You know it's true. Saw a tweet the other day, reminded me there's a few other companies out there doing things that not a lot of other people are doing. One of them is Eurolink Fasteners. Our buddies over there saw a tweet fly by, said DIN 912 has been withdrawn and replaced by ISO 4762. There are some similarities. Do you know what they are? We do. Now stocking a full line of 10.9 socket head cap screws, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service.
Right. Well, it is a weird world because the DIN standards have got a lot of staying power, even though they have been withdrawn. And there's not really that always an exact equivalence to the DIN. The heads are usually different. So you do have to talk to someone who knows to get the right sort of cap screw.
So even though it has been a long time since the DIN standards were formally replaced by the ISO, I noticed in this case on the tweet, both are specified on the cartons.
Well, as we know in the US, not necessarily in the rest of the world, in the US, the DIN standards are used probably at the rate of, 70% of the time relative to ISO standards. Could even be higher. Used to be much higher. But if you were over in France, you'd probably get your fingers chopped off if you even mentioned a DIN standard.
All the more reason to be glad we're right here in the USA, right?
Yeah.
We've got all our bases covered when we talk about Eurolink, because again, they do have both listed on the carton. Hard to find metric fasteners delivered. That's their motto. I noticed also something fly by on LinkedIn the other day, and that is that London Penland, Craig Penland's son, is joining the company. He's got a technical background, and he's going to bring some ISO firepower to that organization. So we're looking forward to hearing from him on the podcast.
Wow. Okay. With a name like that, he should be right up on British standards, I would have thought.
I didn't make the connection, but you're right. And the Fastener News Report's coming up in just a moment, everybody. We'll hear about the Fastener Distributor Index, among other things. Just ahead of that, I received an email from our friend Robbie Gilchrist. He and his wife Gina have been operating the Gilchrist Foundation for many years now. Yeah. They have a very strong scholarship program. They made an announcement recently about several winners of their most recent scholarship program. They were Morgan Stover of Ken Forging, Robert Carlton of General Fasteners, and Lauren Zuskin of Southern Fasteners and Supply, winners of the most recent Gilchrist Award scholarships.
Cool. That's very good on them.
You can get more information about Gilchrist Foundation scholarships at gilchristfoundation.com. Robbie and Gina do great work in that department. And don't forget, if you're looking to pick up your Certified Fastener Specialist accreditation, Fully Threaded and the Fastener Training Institute have got you covered with the scholarship program. Deadline is August 30th this year. Get a 300-word essay in. The email for that is ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're accepting applications now. Winner will be announced in Vegas at the International Fastener Expo.
Right, and this is not a winner takes all, okay, because everyone's a winner in this little shindig.
That's right. You receive a voucher for an educational webinar just for submitting your entry. Plus, you'll get your name announced on the Fastener News Report, which, hey, who doesn't want that?
Right. No, I've never had my name announced here.
Oh, come on. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International and Stelfast. And our loyal sponsor of the Fastener News Report is Volt Industrial Plastics. Bri, care to do the honors?
And now, for news about screws that you can use, here's Mike McNulty and the Fastener News Report.
Thanks, Brian and Eric. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. In this fine month of July, I am happy to report that in addition to celebrating Independence Day on July 4th, the city of Cleveland, Ohio got to extend its holiday weekend by several days by hosting Major League Baseball's Midsummer Classic, the annual All-Star Game, which featured a Cleveland Indian pitcher as its MVP. But nevertheless, I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, Mike O'Connor, President of Innovative Components, joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on the newly formed Aluform USA, as well as newsmaker headlines from Essentra, Bassard, Bolhoff, Park, Ohio, SFS, Hillman, Autobolt, Capo Tool, and more. On the back page report, we're going to talk about patriotism. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
There's a reason Volt Industrial Plastics is an industry leader in plastic clip, clamp, and custom fastener manufacturing. With over 100 million parts in stock that can be shipped the same day, Volt has some of the fastest lead times in the industry. Volt can do color. We have the capability of molding over 120 different materials and can color match for specific applications. You need it? We can build it. At Volt, we have state-of-the-art technology to build prototypes to customer specs. And although some companies provide similar products, we offer customer service that's second to none, setting us apart from our competition. And now available, Volt's new light-duty cable clamps. With maximum diameters ranging from 3/16 to a ½ inch, these clamps are ideal for hard-to-reach spaces, electronics, and finish work. They prevent corrosion with metal tubing, and with plastic tubing, they won't bind or warp, preventing leaks while maintaining the flow of liquids. Volt Industrial Plastics, the finest, fastest plastic fasteners in the world. Visit us at voltplastics.com.
Parker Fasteners is your premier cold heading manufacturer, forging the future with precision and quality as our top priority. When you think of domestically produced sockets and tamper-proof screws from alloy and stainless, including A286, think Parker Fasteners. Our lockout line of security fasteners feature high torque, oval center pin design, and unique lobes that provide one-of-a-kind security for your customers. Our in-house 3D printing capability makes the prototyping process fast and affordable, and we're ready to produce your large or small run orders with highly competitive pricing and unbeatable lead times. So, forge the future with Parker Fasteners. Visit Parker Fasteners online today at parkerfasteners.com.
I know my customers' yearly usage, but I don't have the warehouse space to store it.
Solution Man can. Submit a blanket order and I'll not only set up release dates, I'll offer you bulk pricing too. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
You're my fastener superhero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION. Solution Industries. We are solution.
Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for June was 48.3, a dramatic drop from last month's reading of 53.8, below the 50-point strength line for the first time since the beginning of 2017. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network, the National Fastener Distributors Association, and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we talked to Mike O'Connor, President of Innovative Components. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. It's good to have you here. This is the first time in over 2 years we've been below the 50-point line. What do you think about the FDI results?
Well, I think that we need to take a look at that somewhat in moderation. I wouldn't panic just yet. For myself, I usually watch the PMI as well as the FDI, because the PMI, those are the guys that are buying our products. And if we look at the Purchasing Managers Index, it's actually still in the positive area at, I believe, 51.7. And it's been pretty stable really all year. You know, April around 53, May around 52, June again 52. So no great changes in terms of the outlook from our customers. I guess the question would be why are we so negative? But if you look at it, there's about a 3-point difference between where the PMI is currently in the FDI, and historically that's well within the normal range of the tolerance. Up or down 3 points, not a big deal. So I would say I prefer to wait and see if we have one more month that's this low before reacting to it too much. Certainly the trend is a little bit discouraging. I think from our standpoint, Innovative Components is a little unusual in that, first of all, we've got over 1,000 customers that we bill every year. So it's a pretty good cross-section. 50% of them are OEMs, end users, and 50% of them are fastener distributors. So we get a pretty good feel for what's going on in our industry specifically, but also amongst our customer base. And for us, June was actually the second best month in our 26-year history, the best June ever, obviously, and we had salespeople setting all kinds of records. So we do not see a lot of softness in the general OEM market, and I think that probably supports what the PMI is doing a little bit more, that our customers also aren't feeling a lot of softness. The thing that I find the most interesting is how low that forward-looking number is. That's shocking. Right. Yeah, that is. I mean, there's a lot of pessimism out there, but you know, fastener guys tend to be pessimists more often than not. You know, we're seeing the tariffs, and we're looking at how the tariffs might affect our businesses individually. But when we look at our customers, they're buying so many things, only a small percentage of which are probably coming from China. So it may be that the overall view for the economy is quite a bit stronger than what some fastener people are seeing in an overreaction to what tariffs may or may not do. We don't even know if the tariffs will ever take place, but that might be what's pulling that forward-looking number down so strongly.
Yeah, and maybe with your mix of customers and OEM, and you got a broader look than some people who maybe have a more narrow focus. You mentioned the forward-looking indicator, and just to get the numbers out there, it was 44.4 this month versus 47.7 last month, and it's the fifth out of the first 6 months of the year that have been below 50. So, but you're right, then the percentages flip really negative.
Yeah, that's surprising to me. So clearly, everybody in the industry, not everybody, but people who respond to the FDI are certainly expecting a slowdown. Probably sooner rather than later. And maybe some of them are already experiencing that. But we have to remember, too, summers in general are softer.
Right.
And it's like we always get to June and July, and we have softer numbers, and we forget, well, this happens every year. So you get a little more negativity as you're talking to people throughout the summer, and then it usually rebounds. And for us, it rebounds in late August, early September generally.
Yeah, the sales number for FDI June was 38.5, that's the lowest number of the year. Second lowest was 45.3. So hopefully
certainly
it's just seasonal.
a concern. I think that we're all kind of waiting around to see what's going to happen in the trade war. If we get a favorable settlement, and frankly, at this point, it doesn't even need to be all that favorable. It just needs to be a settlement so that we can plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll definitely get a boost from that, and I think it could last quite a while because, the bones underneath all of this are still pretty strong in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason from an economic standpoint to expect a rapid deceleration in the economy. There's a lot of negative news out there. And, if you watch the news, it has to impact you. And we're beginning to hit the silliness of the political season.
Yeah, right.
And so all of a sudden, everybody on TV is saying how bad the economy is without providing any proof that it's really bad, when in fact, the economy is pretty darn stable at this point.
Yeah. I have my children are in their early 20s, and my son comes home and tells me that he can't trust stuff that you're seeing on social media, that a lot of it's just phony stuff. And
no kidding.
When you're 21 years old, you're usually not tuned into the news too much. And when it trickles that far down, I think there's a lot of truth to the untruths out there. And
I think it's very, very hard to get truth out of the reported news.
Well, you mentioned trade and the elections, and then we have a comment from the FDI analyst, Dave Manthe of Baird. He's the one who puts together the report, and I want to read his quote. He said, all this trade uncertainty seems to be impacting industrial America gradually. Our broader survey work is now showing material weakness, also creeping into metalworking, hoses, and power transmission products. So that's obviously creeping in there a little bit, especially people that are focused with steel products or aluminum products.
Mm-hmm. It's got to have a drag on it. Mm-hmm. For our business specifically, because we manufacture in the United States and in Costa Rica, neither of which are affected by tariffs, I think early on it had a mostly positive effect for us. But the longer this drags on, it's just generally hurting our customers, and it is a drag on the economy. So it is clearly something that needs to be solved sooner rather than later. And the longer it goes on, the more real the negative effect will be on our business specifically and the economy in general.
I think as we get closer to the election, everybody knows that the economy is one of the main driving factors of election sentiment. So I think the current administration will probably do whatever they need to keep things going, to get those things resolved. They're waging some trade wars, which has to be done, especially when you have partners who don't play fair. But as they get closer, if things start to look bad, I think they're going to back off. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they'll look for anything that can be called a victory and move on. And it would probably be welcome because, frankly, even before we started the trade war, we were all doing pretty well. So we had adapted to the world as it was, and we've continued to chug along right through the trade war. So if you take those shackles off us, I think our industry will recover. We don't even need to recover. We're not actually down, but I think we'll take off again with some acceleration.
Yeah, and we've passed the longest expansion ever, over 10 years now. So I think that's a pretty good thing. Even though some of the expansion wasn't as high as some people would like, it's still an expansion. And everything I've seen from a macro, looking at macroeconomic numbers, are talking about slowing growth, but not dipping into recession yet. So I think I think things are gonna level out here.
I would agree with that.
Let's touch on a couple of the comments that came in. One distributor noted that RFQs are less than numerous, but the flow of orders has not slowed enough to drop our backlog, while another one said business is softer. And then on the flip side, one respondent said June was the best month ever, offsetting 5 months of even sales. Maybe that was you.
No, it was not. But I'm sure there are some other. I've spoken to some other people who had very good Junes. So maybe they just weren't participants.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that I think I would agree with you that this was a surprise that it dropped so far, but I think maybe some of it is a little bit of overreacting. It's hopefully we'll see next month. See what happens.
Yeah, although remember, July is often a very slow month for everybody, so we might really need to wait until we see the August numbers to determine whether we've got something real here or it was just a momentary blip.
That's a good point. So practice some patience here.
That's what I'm trying to do.
All right, good. Well, Just to get out on the record, the 6-month outlook, as we touched on earlier, was not good. We had 23% of the respondents expecting higher activity at the end of the year. 32% expect the same, and the big number that was 45 expecting lower activity, that's the highest it's been since 2012. So we'll see if that's just that's that last number. That's the highest expecting lower activity. Yeah. So anything else to add on the FDI before we close with some find out I know you got some news to report on innovative components.
I do. No, nothing else on the FDI from me. I think that says it all.
Good.
But yes, we do indeed have some big news at Innovative Components. The company was sold, so my wife and I made the big decision after 26 and a half years to sell the company, and it was purchased by a company that's probably familiar to most of your listeners, Essentra PLC, which is a very large publicly traded company from the UK, 1.3 billion in sales. And specifically, we are fitting into their components division, and it's a very good fit because our products are very complementary to each other. And rather than a sale, let's say, to an investment firm, this is a strategic buy, and I think that it really provides a landing place for my employees that gives them even more opportunity than Carol and I were able to offer. Just because of the smaller size of our company. So that's official. The paperwork has been signed, and I'll be around for a while. I'll be consulting during a transition period, so I'm not completely disappearing. And I should still be seen occasionally at industry events and around, but I'm really excited by the potential that this gives to both sides. It's a very good complementary match. This is the company that bought Microplastics, the company that manufactures plastic fasteners. So there's kind of a trend here. They also own Richco, which is cable ties and Christmas tree fasteners and that kind of stuff, and Alliance Plastics, which is cap plugs and that sort of thing. So there's they're into plastic components, which are more and more becoming something that fastener distributors are selling successfully. And we bring them even more directly into the fastener market with the threaded fasteners that are molded into our plastic knobs and handles. And I think we're their first foray into spring-loaded quick-release hardware. So it will open up some new markets for them. Particularly, we saw a lot of synergy with our Costa Rica factory, now giving them a manufacturing presence in a low-cost country that is close to home, as opposed to that they are doing some sourcing from Asia. And
they're not getting investigated by the Department of Commerce.
Right. So I would certainly expect to see them expand the presence in Costa Rica, because we've got a lot of good talent down there and great potential.
How many employees do you have?
They can do it. Total in the company, we have 125, with about 75 of them being in Costa Rica.
Good size, and 26 plus years for you and your wife. That's a good accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. We're very proud of what we built and what we accomplished, but at the same time, we're also looking forward to the next chapter and retirement. Time for golf and fishing now.
Yeah, after spending all this time on knobs and fasteners and pins. And
yes.
Well, there's some of that in the fishing industry and the golfing.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I make my own fishing lures. So, I'll get to still satisfy that mechanical engineer urge that I have, but in a much more personal way.
Well, that's good. It sounds like a good deal for you and your wife, as well as for your employees and for for Essentra in the UK. It sounds like a win-win or all around
I think so.
For everybody.
I think it's a perfect match. It should turn out well for everyone.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining us and bringing your insights to the FDI, as well as telling the story about innovative components. It's good to hear that, and hope to talk to you down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll look for you at some of the industry events that are coming up.
All right, we'll keep going out there.
Thanks, Mike.
That was Mike O'Connor. He's the president of Innovative Components. The FDI number for June was 48.3 versus 53.8 in the previous month. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. Duncan McLean, President and CEO of McLean Fogg, has announced the joint venture formation of Alloform USA between RIBE of Schwabach, Germany, and McLean Fogg Component Solutions, also known as MFCS, of Mundelein, Illinois. The RIB Alloform product is the market leader in the automotive industry for high-strength aluminum bolt, screw, and stud fasteners. Alloform USA combines RIBE and MFCS strengths to bring the Alloform product line to the North American marketplace with application engineering, customer support, and manufacturing all located in the USA. In addition to its fastening elements, RIBE also makes springs and electrical fittings, and it has more than 1,400 employees at locations in Germany, the USA, Eastern Europe, and Asia. MFCS, one of the two primary businesses in McLean Fogg, is a manufacturer of fastener components, engineered plastics primary for automotive and heavy truck applications. McLean Fogg has 26 global manufacturing facilities and a workforce of 3,500 people. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In acquisition and expansion news, Essentra plc has acquired Innovative Components Incorporated. Bassard has acquired the distribution business of SCS Boyson Aerospace Group. The Bolhoff Group has expanded its operations in China by opening a new logistics center. And Novaria Group has acquired Accra Aerospace LLC. In personnel news, Park Ohio Chairman and CEO Edward Crawford has resigned his post to become the U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Ireland. Urs Langenauer, current head of SFS Automotive North America, is taking over management of the SFS Riveting Division. Michael Andanolfi has been named the Hillman U.S. Divisional President. Achim Karstingen is the new Managing Director of Hiko Schrauben. The Autoboat Company has added Tangela Davis as Senior Quality Tech. Braylo has appointed Daniel Suarez as its new CEO. And Copatool of Ramco has hired Russ Ackerman as Project Manager Aerospace. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International Magazine and the Fastener News Report newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. Finally, let's turn to the back page to talk about patriotism. In America's current culture, which seems to be dominated by virtue signaling and blowhard pontificating from athletes, media figures, and celebrities, as well as superhuman corporate and political leaders, our celebration of Independence Day this year could not escape some fabricated crises, controversies, and drama. This annoying situation forced me to reflect on the true meaning of patriotism, which is actually a virtue that needs to be practiced. Patriotism is defined as paying due honor and respect to one's country with a willingness to serve it. Some examples of practicing patriotism are showing respect for your country's flag, showing respect for symbols and people who represent your country, learning about your country, learning and singing patriotic songs, and visiting historic sites. So being patriotic is a good thing, which when practiced properly can help make a country and its citizens better by building on its good aspects and learning from and correcting mistakes, just like most people do in families, sports, clubs, and businesses. And by the way, it's important to note that the opposite of any virtue, such as patriotism, is called a vice. In closing, I would like to recite a few lines from two essays I read in July. One was from 95-year-old Tuskegee Airman Harry Stewart, born on July 4th, 1924, and a World War II veteran. In the Wall Street Journal, he wrote, quote, "America was not perfect in the 1940s, and it's not perfect today, yet I fought for it then and would do so again," unquote. The other was from an article titled, "This 4th of July, Why Patriotism is Worth Defending," written by Kyle Smith and published in the New York Post. He wonderfully stands up for America in his article, and closing his essay with these lines, he writes, quote, "On July 4th, 1776, we began setting up the greatest opportunity for human flourishing the world has ever known, and our example continues to be the world's beacon. The United States of America isn't perfect, we're merely the best." This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Our feature segment is coming up. That's Marty Nolan speaking with Georgia Foley of STAFDA. But just ahead of that, Carmen Vertullo discusses what to do about those ugly bolts. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's Fully Threaded Radio. Need fasteners? Fully Threaded Radio listeners know that StelFast offers over 12,000 fastener items direct from stock, including bolts, cap screws, nuts, screws, and washers in a variety of finishes. Per print, specials, and standards, StelFast has been a global sourcing leader since 1972. As an ISO-certified supplier with facilities across North America and Asia, each member of the StelFast team is dedicated to supporting fastener distributors with the highest quality products and service possible. That's why the motto remains, for service you deserve and people you trust, it's StelFast. ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations, from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries, innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for joining the Fastener Training Minute. This is Carmen Vertullo coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and AIM Testing Laboratory in beautiful El Cajon, California. A topic came up recently, which I believe I have spoken before on the Fastener Training Minute, and that topic has to do with ugly bolts. That means bolts that have something on them called surface discontinuities. It sounds like a big word. I guess it is a big word. When I think of surface discontinuities, I think of my own face full of them. Wrinkles, scars, bumps, things that aren't supposed to be there, but you can't do much about them. When I come back, I'll tell you all about surface discontinuities on fasteners and how you can tell if they matter or not.
The Fastener Training Institute is dedicated to bringing you the finest in fastener education, all delivered by industry experts. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of upcoming schedule. On July 25th, it's Fastener Basics happening in Denver, Colorado. That's a one-day course, perfect for entry-level fastener people. In August, Fastener Training Week happens. That's an opportunity to earn your Certified Fastener Specialist credentials, something that's very coveted in this industry. That's happening August 19th in Chicago, Illinois. It's a one-week course. If you're heading out to the International Fastener Expo in Las Vegas, Fastener Platings and Coatings is happening. That's 8:30 to 4:30, an all-day course. Make the most of your time out in Las Vegas. The full calendar of training events offered by the Fastener Training Institute is available at fastenertraining.org. There's plenty more available, including a wide range of webinars. Once again, fastenertraining.org. Now, back to Carmen for the Fastener Training Minute.
Welcome back, everybody. Today on the Fastener Training Minute, we are talking about surface discontinuities. And it sounds like a complicated word, but it's not. It's just what it sounds like. You have a surface, a nice smooth surface. Something happens on that smooth surface. It's no longer continuous. It's discontinuous, as in there's a crack or a seam or a lap or a fold of some sort, and we call that a surface discontinuity. And fastener standards have limits for surface discontinuities, and there are specifications that they refer to let us know which ones are acceptable and how much and which ones are not. A very common type of surface discontinuity, a matter of fact, the one that brought this to my attention recently, is called a burst or a shear burst. And that's when you look at the edge of a head of a screw or a bolt, and it just looks like something exploded out from inside of it. It's got looking like a piece of material is missing from it, kind of like the bad edge of a chocolate chip cookie. And those are quite common, more than you would think, especially on larger bolts. And interestingly enough, amongst the several different types of surface discontinuities, these ones have quite a large amount of allowance or tolerance where we can live with them being on the fastener. So if you happen to see the edge of a bolt or a screw and there is a surface discontinuity at the edge of it, don't freak out. It might be acceptable. Now, when we say acceptable according to what? According to a standard. And in the inch world, that standard is F788, ASTM F788. It's also ASTM F788M. It covers metric standards, even though there is another standard for metric surface discontinuities. I'll tell you about that one in a minute. So that's the most common type, is a burst or a shear burst. There are some other types which are less tolerable. Those are surface discontinuities such as cracks, especially quench cracks, none of which are allowed. Some seams are allowed. Some other types of forging defects are allowed. But surface discontinuities that are classified as bursts are the most common. I have some wonderful pictures of those. If you want to email me, I'll share them with you. We can't do that over the radio. Eric's trying to figure that out, how we can share pictures over the radio, but we haven't got there yet with that. So when you see a shear burst on the head of your fastener, or your customer does, we have two scenarios. One is we're going to look at that and we're going to say, that's ugly as sin. I don't want it. Get rid of it. I don't care what the standard says. And if that's the case, the customer doesn't like the look of it, there's probably not very much you can do about it unless you prefer to harass that customer into keeping the product. On the other hand, the customer may need to be motivated to keep that product. They want to keep their job going, or they want to keep their production line up, and they need to use that particular lot of fasteners. So the scenario looks like this. You show them in the standard where it's acceptable to keep that fastener in play, and everyone is happy, and life goes on as it did before. So keep in mind, shear bursts in terms of surface discontinuities are acceptable. And interestingly enough, they can be quite large. The case we just looked at was on a 3/4 inch tension control bolt, big round head, and that surface discontinuity was allowed to be 1/8 of an inch wide. That's very wide and very ugly. So they're really surprising when you learn about it, how much of a surface discontinuity might be acceptable. And if you need to have one of those evaluated, we do that at AIM Test Lab. You can actually do it yourself pretty easily. All it takes is some calipers and maybe a camera to take a photograph. Well, that's the least you should know about surface discontinuities. One more thing I promised you. The metric equivalent of ASTM F788, F788M is ISO 6157. And there are 3 flavors of that, a -1, a -2, and a -3, depending on whether you are looking at bolts or nuts or studs and screws. So that's it for surface discontinuities. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Thank you for listening.
This is George Hunt III from Brighton Best International, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
I received a call from Marty Nolan of R.L. English a few days back, pointing out that we speak often about the many trade association events that so many Fully Threaded Radio listeners attend, and he was wondering why we haven't covered STAFDA. Now, many of you know something about the Specialty Tools and Fasteners Distributors Association, or you even attend its annual convention, which is happening this year in Nashville, November 10th through the 12th. So, in light of the commendable job he did a few episodes back interviewing Brian Musker, I invited Marty back to the podcast to help us do a proper job of shedding light on STAFDA for the Fully Threaded audience. He agreed, and he brought a very special guest along with him, and she knows a little something about STAFDA as well. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Eric. How you doing?
Doing pretty fine, actually. And who might your special guest be?
It's my pleasure to bring on your podcast Georgia Foley, and she is the CEO of STAFDA. And Georgia, welcome. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
No, that's awesome. So a lot of the fastener audience attends STAFDA. They know STAFDA, but I did a tiny bit of homework. and I won't go on and on, but just a few points. STAFDA was founded in 1976 by 18 industry leaders, and they wanted a format where manufacturers and distributors could interface. Georgia has been the CEO since January 1st of 2000, and I got that all right off of your website, of course.
Welcome, Georgia.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad our website is correct. So that information is absolutely 100% accurate.
And then one little other point from the site before we start asking you questions. They went from 18 founding members. Currently, they have over 2,500 members, including, I might add on a personal note, 305 manufacturers reps. So there you go. I thought that needed to be put in there too.
Yeah, full disclosure, Marty, you've been a member for how long?
I honestly don't know the exact date. I could look that up, but you caught me off guard with that. But I will tell you a quick anecdote, which makes me particularly happy to have Georgia on this. Years back, between 10 and 15 years ago, I had attended STAFDA. I didn't have many STAFDA lines at the time, and I attended a show, and it was pretty good, but there weren't a lot of my principles there. So when I got my renewal, I sat on it, and I was just thinking, is this a good investment for me? Should I rejoin STAFDA? You know, I was committed to trying to widen my lines, get some diverse lines. And while I was sitting on my bill, I got a personal phone call from the CEO of STAFDA, Georgia Foley, and it caught me totally off guard. It's like, Marty, this is Georgia Foley. Is there something I can, answer for you? Are you, is there any problems? Are you thinking of renewing? And I will tell you, Georgia, I don't think I've had anybody in a CEO position from an organization like that pick up the phone and call me. It caught me off guard. I've renewed every year, been to many of the shows. Not everyone, because I do have some conflicts at times, which we'll talk about, but that meant a lot to me. I don't remember even how many years ago that was, but I've always told that story. I said, Georgia Foley called me, told me why didn't I renew my membership, and I thought that was very, very cool. So,
well, I appreciate that very much. You've been a member of STAFDA since 2009. But I enjoy talking to members. I like to find out what's going on, and I do like when I see a company that maybe has been in STAFDA for a while and, haven't heard from as far as the dues payment. I do like to reach out because oftentimes there are things going on, whether it's a personnel change or an M&A going on or the owner's selling out, more internal things that we aren't aware of, but we're seeing just kind of an open invoice or we haven't heard from a company in a while. But in addition to doing kind of the basics, I guess, the core job of trying to do some collections or finding out why an invoice isn't paid, it also gives me the opportunity to talk one-on-one with members, find out what's on their mind, find out what's happening in their geographic area, how's business, what are the trends that you're seeing. It's a great education opportunity for me as well. So it kind of serves a dual purpose.
No, it made a big impression on me, and I still remember it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to jump around to some different topics. And Eric, when you have something to ask, jump in. But I will say I literally yesterday registered for STAFDA in Nashville. I knew 2 years ago I was going to attend this because I like Nashville. While corresponding with you to set this up, I know you ran out of hotel space pretty rapidly, so registration must be good. But you've added more hotels, and I got one. Good. So tell me, what do you want to highlight about the upcoming STAFDA show in Nashville?
Well, we haven't been to Nashville since 2007, so this is going to be our fifth return to that city. But the 4 previous years, we were at Opryland, which is kind of on the outskirts a little bit of downtown, but this is the first time that we'll be in downtown Nashville, and we just had our board meeting there this past weekend. And we always bring in the board to whatever city we're going to be in, so they have the opportunity to go through the convention center, see the host hotels, get a real feel for the city, and then after that there are ambassadors to go out and promote the convention. And I had forewarned them that downtown Nashville is like one massive construction job site. There is so much building going on in that city. They almost lead the country right now in crane count. The city is so vibrant. There are 88 people that move to Nashville every day. Just a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. So for us, we feel that it's going to be a great option to be downtown. Everything's walking distance. So that's great. And I think a lot of members, Marty, have shared your enthusiasm because Monday, June 24th, when we opened up registration, that marked our largest registration on day one in the history of STAFDA. So the volume of registrations we received not only from exhibitors who are manufacturers, but also from rep agents and distributors has just been off the chart. I haven't even started to assign booths yet, just off of Monday. So based on that compression, yes, we ran out of hotel rooms in a hurry. We started receiving calls from members early on in the morning about hotels telling them that they were sold out, and I said, no, that can't be. We just opened up registration. Housing opened up 2 hours ago. How can that happen? But in fact, and we added more rooms, but by Monday around 3 o'clock, all 4 of our host hotels were sold out. So we did a scramble, and we were able to work with our Nashville hotel partners down there in the Visitors and Convention Bureau to get some more hotels. All are great. They're all walking distance to the center, and they're all clustered around our other host hotels.
That all sounds good. It's going to be quite a show, and with all that construction, every one of your member companies has the opportunity to try and go sell something while they're down there. So there you go.
I think so.
They can take their demos out to the work site right there in Nashville.
Yes.
Now, a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about. Again, we're on Fully Threaded Radio. It's predominantly fastener related, as Eric says on his podcast, predominantly fastener related. And of course, fastener is in the name of STAFDA. But I wanted to talk to you because I've told you I'm kind of a fastener guy, and I also get into STAFDA, what I would call STAFDA lines, safety lines, cutting tools, some of the other lines that fall into STAFDA. But I know that there's been companies joining STAFDA from the fastener world, and then there's been companies that have invested in new products so they fit into the STAFDA market more and more. And I wanted to get your perspective on the fastener side of the STAFDA world. Are you seeing more fastener companies involved, or do you have any feel for that at all?
I think there has been such a blurring of channels the last couple of years that distributors, manufacturers, and reps are all picking up a variety of different lines to satisfy their customer and meet demands. So STAFDA, Specialty Tools and Fasteners Distributors Association, has always served a variety of different niches within the construction and industrial channel. So STAFDA is almost a misnomer. That's really not, we're just not fastener distributors like NFDA is. But we cover a variety of different things. And even the STAFDA's original 18 founders, they sold fasteners, but that wasn't their core thing. There was a bunch of distributors who were customers of my father. My dad used to work for Milwaukee Electric Tool for 23 years, and then he was with Phillips ITT Redhead, which is now part of ITW. So these 18 distributors, they came up with this name, and like you said in the introduction, it was to bring manufacturers and distributors together, but it just wasn't fasteners. And like you said, you bled into safety lines, and we're seeing that with a lot of our other members as well. Safety is like the number one product now that they're selling. Maybe 10 years ago, we saw that push into lasers and levels. So I think being a fastener distributor or fastener manufacturer, you've got to offer more than just one type of product line. You've got to really expand that, and I think we're seeing that with a lot of the fastener manufacturers who are in STAFDA, as well as the pure STAFDA distributors who are in fasteners. So it's a broad market. There's a blurring of lines, and a lot of it's driven by customer demand. And, you know, I think that's exciting for us, and it's exciting for the industry.
I agree. I think to name a couple names, you know, Fastenal's been around a long time now, but they certainly overlap markets and from a distribution side. And a lot of fastener people had to add complementary lines in order to compete with the local Fastenal branch. Mm-hmm. And then more recently, a big player in our fastener market would be Bright & Best, historically a socket head supplier. Then they added more items, and eventually they bought Ironclad Glove, and that's, you know, straight into the STAFDA market, and they've had preferred tools. So we see some of our big distributors and some of our big suppliers certainly getting into STAFDA product lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm jumping around, but another interesting thing to me is in the fastener world, we have different regional associations. Some of those associations have their own tabletop shows or trade shows. Then we have a couple different large quote-unquote national shows competing for the national audience. And when I look at STAFDA, I'm sure there's some competition, but pretty much it's STAFDA. I don't see a lot of little trade shows trying to they just seem to buy into STAFDA and support it. Am I wrong there, or it's like the once a year you go to STAFDA and that's pretty much it?
Well, we look at it from two different angles. So what you just shared with me is flattering and something that I don't step outside of the STAFDA world and kind of take a look at it that way. But thank you very much. That's really great to hear. Our relationship with some of the smaller groups is that if there is a major issue going on, like in the late 80s, we had the whole Fastener Quality Act deal going on. So STAFDA was involved with a lot of the other regional fastener shows, or fastener groups, I should say, to go to Washington and try and put forth our lobbying efforts to stop that. So that's where we have a relationship with some of the smaller groups. But, over time, I think because there's not really a cohesive issue that brings us together, that kind of galvanizes us to go to Washington and charge up Capitol Hill, that we've all kind of done our own things. So some of those smaller groups are very regionalized, as you know and you mentioned, and they deal purely with the true fastener distributor, whereas STAFDA is kind of a catch-all. We've got 35 different product categories, and probably even more than 35 at this point. But that's kind of what we try and bring to the table, is offering a breadth of product line and different types of opportunities. And we are global associations, so we obviously got players from Europe, Latin America, Asia, Australia. So we can bring that in to the mix as well. And we've got a lot of members who private label, so they certainly enjoy that. So I think that's kind of where STAFDA differentiates itself from some of the smaller regional associations.
Absolutely. And I do want to ask you a few more questions about the show in particular, but while you were talking, do I know who owns STAFDA?
The members.
It's a member-owned...
Yeah, we're a 501c6. We're an educational-based association. So nobody owns STAFDA, nobody owns the association, and nobody owns the show. It's not like the hardware show in Chicago where they sold out to read exhibitions. The STAFDA show belongs to the association. It's we're in kind of a unique situation where we're an educational association that happens to have a major industry trade show. So the show belongs to the organization. We've got over 70 different programs and services. We ran a whole series of outside sales training sessions or workshops this spring. We've run inside sales workshops. We've got 12 training manuals. We do monthly webinars that easily attract, anywhere between 100 and 300 plus companies who participate, and who knows how many of those company employees are listening. So we've got a whole bevy of different types of opportunities. We've got consultants who are in retainer with us who specialize in inventory, warehouse, showroom design, sales, you name it. We've got a legal service. We've got a plethora of things that are all detailed on our website. So the show is to me, that's kind of the tail end of the year. But, the other 10 months, we've got a lot of other opportunities education-wise that our members can take advantage of.
I get a newsletter periodically, or regularly, I should say. Good. And in there's reports from different regions of the country every issue. And from my backyard, a friendly competitor of mine, but a real good guy, is Ian Jones from Trainer and Associates. Every issue I get, there's something for me in talking about the local marketplace and what jobs are going on and how the market looks. As a member, you get that newsletter, and somebody's talking very openly about what's going on in the area, which is he does a nice job. I'm of course drawn to the area I'm in. But I'm sure the other areas that I gloss over are getting equal feedback from the field, from somebody doing what I do. So I appreciate that kind of input as well.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. No, and I think the buy-in, the support of your show is reflected in that it's kind of like the members own STAFDA. So consequently, your show attendance is good. Your people aren't looking to go elsewhere because they're part of it. Georgia, I got to ask, talk about a couple other things because, again, I am a STAFDA member, but I'll bring to you the fastener side as well. And one of the things that I hear every month, if not more frequently, can't find good people, need another salesperson. I wish I had a good sourcing person. And among the many, many educational programs at the show, and if you're not a STAFDA member and don't ever intend to be, you really ought to go online and look at the content of the show because it is heavily educational, lots of interesting speakers. There's a big old fun party the opening night, which is, you shouldn't miss that if you bother to come at all. That's a great time. But one of the things that caught me off guard as I went through my the brochure that was sent out to talk about what's going on at the show, there was a section called speed interviewing. And I wasn't sure what that was, so I looked it up. And STAFDA is inviting college students to the show to interview for positions based on what they're studying in school. And companies looking to acquire talent can set up interviews. I think that is just an awesome opportunity that you're offering through the show.
Well, thank you. So this is actually our third year that we're offering this. So last year we had 30 students from 6 universities. And they're all upperclassmen who either have an industrial distribution, supply chain, or construction management major. So these kids are focused in on our industry. And we invite them to come to the convention so they have the ability to attend the workshops on Sunday. Then Sunday we've got a young professionals lunch where it's not only for the college students, but it's also for STAFDA members who are 35 years and younger. And it's a lunch where we've got a panel from different cross-sections of the industry. So we have some manufacturers, some reps, some distributors who talk about what's going on. And it was so interesting last year that we had about 6 pre-planned questions in case we wanted to get the students talking or the STAFDA members who were under 35 talking. We didn't use any of the questions. As a matter of fact, the lunch was so successful, the questions were so excellent that we've expanded it from 45 minutes to an hour and a half this year. So following the lunch is when we have the speed interviewing. And starting in mid-September, we'll start posting the resumes from the students. And we kind of act as the matchmaker between the member and the student. So we'll do all the coordinating of the times to meet with the students, but it's been very successful and very eye-opening for both the student and for the member. But last year's program went well. Some of the students got hired by some of our members. Others had internship opportunities. So based on the success of last year, we're hoping to at least get another 30 students to Nashville. But I don't think that will be an issue. I think we're probably going to have more. But that's what we hear from our members as well, is about the whole labor issue and promoting the trades. And it's a challenge.
I think it's a need that every supplier and distributor is facing. They need to address there's a labor shortage, and the fact that it was right in the printed material as part of the show I thought was great. I'll also just share too, in the fastener industry, we have a group, Wi-Fi, which is Women in Fastener Industry. It's a very strong group. And I notice in your educational workshops, you have women in business. So obviously STAFDA is seeing the same things. Again, you are part of the fastener market, but not every fastener person's in STAFDA, and it's not a fit for everybody. But similar issues are coming up in groups. And, of course, you will get an economic update from Alan Bolio, if I said his last name correctly, which is I've had the opportunity to hear one of the Bolio brothers at different times. Always excellent information, and that's part of you buy a member or you buy your entrance into STAFDA, you're invited to hear Alan Bolio tell you the updates on the economy.
Have you ever seen Brian and Alan in the same room simultaneously?
I have not, but I know they're identical twins, and
just checking.
Even identical in speech on a speech. So we always know that if we can't get Alan, we can get Brian, and they're interchangeable.
I think Eric senses a conspiracy, so that's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's okay. Eric. Sorry.
But I just want to follow up to your kind words about our Nashville convention. The registration fee per person is $199, and that's the lowest in the industry, and that's 3 days of everything, 3 days of education, social events, trade show, general session. I mean, it's everything. So cost has never been a deterrent to not come to our convention.
The other thing I like personally is you have a general session in the morning before you open the trade show. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll go to shows and they'll have speakers I'd like to hear, but there's no way I'm leaving a room full of my customers and suppliers where I could make contacts. I kind of like how you set that time apart. From 8:30 to 11 o'clock, you're going to have your president and vice president speak to the organization, and then you have a keynote speaker, which if you want to talk about David Goggins a bit, that'd be welcome. But the point I'm making is I like that you're saying, no, go here and listen to these people, and then we'll open the trade show. So I'm not trying to determine which one I want to go to, and will I miss talking to some customer while I'm attending the speaker. I think that's a good feature that you have in your show.
Well, thank you very much. And actually, we've decided to tighten up the general session even more. So we're going to make it now 9 to 11 o'clock. So it'll be an hour of, staff to business, and then an hour of our keynote speaker, David Goggins. And David Goggins is one of the hottest speakers right now out on the circuit. He is a former Navy SEAL. He's a former Army Ranger. He's an ultramarathoner guy. He has won a best-selling book called Can't Hurt Me that came out in last year, 2018. And one of the amazing things about him is that he's got a wonderful message about mental toughness, about the accountability mirror, that stop blaming others for anything in your life. You got to take accountability for it. And unfortunately, today's society is where it's about blame other people or blame who knows what. But I kind of like his old school mentality about take accountability for yourself. And he's got a really strong message. And the ironic thing is that he'll be speaking on Monday, November 11th, which is Veterans Day. And as a 21-year veteran of the U.S. services, it's really an honor to have him there that day. He's also going to help us open up the trade show at noon, and we're going to do a call-out from the stage that any STAFDA member who is a veteran of any armed service is invited to help David open up the trade show at STAFDA at noontime. So not only does he have the military background, but he's got this crazy ultramarathoner thing where I'm really hoping he's not going to make me, do a half mile before or a half marathon before I get the opportunity to shake his hand. And then we'll have 3 mics downstage where members in the audience will be able to queue up and ask him a question. So it's going to be a very interactive session. And then, like I said, he's going to help us open up the trade show along with U.S. STAFDA veterans on Veterans Day.
I can't think of a better way to start the show. That's excellent.
Thank you very much. It's going to be a great opportunity, and we're looking forward to it.
We're speaking with Georgia Foley. She's the executive director of STAFDA, the Specialty Tools and Fasteners Distributors Association. There's a lot of S's in that name, Georgia.
There are.
The S is for STAFDA in this case. And folks who need more information about the organization or this year's convention happening in November can get that info at stafda.org.
Yes.
One more question, and then I have one other thing, Eric, if you're good with that. Georgia, I'm an excitable guy. I jump right into the content, and I can't stop myself from trudging forward in those areas that interest me, but I probably should have asked you right at the very beginning of this discussion about your background. I've always known you as the director or CEO of STAFDA. You mentioned your father was with Phillips Redhead, I think you said, in Milwaukee. Yes. Were you involved in the industries before you? What's your background, real quickly?
Well, yes and no. So my father was Maury Halverson, and like I said, he was with Milwaukee Electric Tool Sales and VP of Sales and Marketing for 23 years. And he worked for Phillips ITT Redhead down in Michigan City, Indiana. But I'm an only child and grew up here in Elm Grove. So when he left Milwaukee, he commuted for 4 years down to Michigan City, Indiana. And 18 of his customers, my dad wanted to get back home. 18 of his customers had this STAFDA thing. They didn't know what to do with it. And my dad said, you know what, I want to take that on. He said, I want to be back with my family, and so I'll take it on as a 100% commission job. So he left ITT Phillips Redhead, and he started STAFDA in the basement of our house, like so many fastener companies have started in basements or garages. And so anyway, I was his first employee at age 13. I helped him do the original mailing to all of his distributor and rep contacts as far as STAFDA and who it was and what we did. And I was his first secretary. I answered phones, and I basically typed very slowly. But anyway, I helped him out on that. So I worked the registration desk at every STAFDA convention through junior high school, and even when I was in college, I only missed 2 conventions because I had exams. And then after I got out of college, I worked for a multiple management company in Milwaukee that housed about 10 different associations. They had 10, and of the 10, 2 were non-medical. So the group that I was executive director of, or CEO, was called Exhibit Designers and Producers Association. These are people who built custom trade show exhibits, did all the service work, the setup, dismantle, etc. So I really learned the trade show industry from the dock up, sitting at Javits and McCormick Place and a lot of other places, but really understood the trade show industry, and I was grateful for that education. So I did that for 7 years. And as an only child, my dad and I would frequently go back over the dinner table about different things happening with STAFDA and happening with my exhibit group. And STAFDA used to have a trade show every 3 years. So towards the end of the late 80s, my dad said to me, he said, I think STAFDA is going to want to push for a trade show every year. But he said, we can't really do it right away. I've got all these hotel contracts and whatever. So he said, my first open year would be 1997. So I was working for my exhibit group. There was a change in management of the parent company. And the more my dad and I talked, the opportunity came about. So I joined STAFDA legitimately as a full-time employee in August of 94 as member services director. And then I stayed in that position until 97, where I became an associate executive director at the time. And then my dad retired at the end of 99, and then I took over in 2000. But it's been a tremendous experience. STAFDA's in my blood. I don't think my blood is red. I think it's STAFDA royal blue. But the people that I deal with are people that I grew up with. So a lot of the second and third generation were, the same age as me when our parents were at STAFDA meetings. They'd come talk to me when I was working the reg desk, or after I was done with that. My dad let me go to the pool for a while. I'd hang out with them. So a lot of my colleagues are all my age or in my age range, which is fantastic. So I can't imagine not having STAFDA in my life. It's an incredible group of people that I get to work with every day.
And you do a wonderful job, and that's a great background story. I'm a son of myself from the manufacturer's rep side of things, so I understand that connection and can relate to that. I don't want to keep you all day. You're a busy woman. You're taking time in the busiest week you may have, which is when registration began, and I'm glad it's going so well. I'm going to be attending this year. You're the busiest woman at STAFDA, but if you're free, I'll certainly buy you a beer at Tootsie's, because that's one of my favorite places on earth, at Tootsie's Orchid. So every time I'm international, I've got to make some time for Tootsie's. But appreciate very much you making time to talk with me and Eric.
Well, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much, Georgia, and good luck to you this year at STAFDA 2019, which is happening in Nashville, November 10th through the 12th. More details at stafda.org. Hope to talk to you again, too. Hey, everybody, it's Fully Threaded Radio. We'll be back momentarily.
Once you're in this industry, you're not getting out. Good thing there's Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
At Brighton Best, we continue to expand our wide range of products, including stainless steel and metric fasteners. Our family of brands include Preferred, U.S. Anchor, and Ironclad Performance Wear. BBI has been a trusted partner since 1925. With award-winning hand tools, gloves, and drywall screws, BBI is the largest master distributor of fasteners in the USA. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best. To learn more about Brighton Best, visit brightonbest.com.
First, there was fire, and man said,
"Fire, good."
Then there was the wheel, and man said,
"Wheel, good."
With the invention of the wheel came the need for fasteners, and man loudly exclaimed,
"Buckeye, good."
Buckeye Fasteners, providing quality products since the dawn of man. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt Beer, official beer of the Traveling Salesman.
Tell them Grog sent you. Ugh.
Hey everybody, as we've discussed, the dog days of summer have arrived and BTM Manufacturing is already looking ahead to the fall trade show season. Make plans now to visit the BTM team at the International Fastener Expo in Vegas, September 17th through the 19th, and STAFDA, November 11th and 12th. As tradition goes, we'll be brewing some of our custom U-Bolt blend coffee at the booth. As a domestic ISO 9001-2015 manufacturer of threaded fasteners and bent wire products, BTM is committed to the highest quality standards and on-time performance rate. Centrally located in Kansas City, Missouri, BTM's facility of over 100,000 square feet can easily handle both large and small projects. BTM specializes in U-bolts, anchor bolts, J-bolts, studs, rods, and per-print specials. Please visit www.btm-mfg.com to check out BTM's many capabilities. BTM Manufacturing.
I don't have time to look for the best price for a socket head cap screw zinc plated with a patch.
Solution Man can. Let me handle all of your secondary processes, and I'll even ship the finished product. One price, one purchase order, one invoice, and one shipment equals one solution. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my primary source for secondary processes.
Good one.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION. Solution Industries. We are Solution.
Coming to you live from a much larger desk drawer, this is Jake Davis with BTM Manufacturing, and you are listening to my friends Brian and Eric on Fully Threaded Radio.
You know, Brian, Marty Nolan really does a good job with those interviews. He should perhaps take up podcasting or maybe even blogging, you know?
You should tell him that. Maybe he already has.
I don't know if he'd go for it. We've talked about heading out to STAFDA. How many years now? Maybe we'll do it. I mean, boy, that sounds like a great show they're putting on this year.
I think originally it was Bob Reynolds who told us that that was one of the shows that we should be going to, that he always goes there.
There's a lot of crossover for some people in our industry. For others, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But hey, that's every marketing manager's conundrum. You know, what shows do you do and which ones do you focus on? So if you didn't know that much about STAFDA, you do now. And Georgia's got a very good story. She's one of these real true blue fastener people in her own right, because let's face it, it's in her family, it's in her blood. Kind of like you, Bri.
Oh, in my blood, I'm not sure about that, okay?
Like to thank Georgia Foley of STAFDA and Marty Nolan from R.L. English, and I guess kind of our moonlighting guest interviewer. Great job, you guys. Doug Ruggles is the new president of the NFDA. He appeared at the top of the podcast today with an interview. We look forward to seeing what he can do at the NFDA throughout the year.
Yeah.
Thanks also to Mike O'Connor of Innovative Components. Congratulations on the sale of your business, 26 and a half years, and you came out on top. You achieved the dream that so many people in the fastener industry have. And boy, we admire you for that.
Right. And please don't stop making your special lures either, okay? Though having the molding machinery could be a little hard to come by.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was worth the trade-off. He's going to be able to buy a lot of bulldogs in his current situation. Don't worry about him, Bri.
Oh, okay. I won't.
Mike McNulty, you also did us proud, and I tell you, I was tempted to stand up and salute when I heard your back page report today. That was classic McNulty, and we sure do appreciate you reminding us what patriotism and being a U.S. citizen is all about. We're glad you were able to participate in the podcast today. And of course, Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Now we know what to do with those ugly bolts.
It's just a very elegant but formal way of defining a mark, probably from one bolt falling on top of another one. A surface discontinuity. I love it.
Thank you for that disambiguation. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stellfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stellfast. And Brighton Best International. Tested, tried, true. Brighton Best. Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, the International Fastener Expo, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, The Worth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. Folks, let us know what you think of the podcast. If you've got ideas, questions, comments, and so forth, the email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. You can also reach out at the Twitter handle, Fully Threaded. Well, we mentioned at the top of the podcast, Bri, that we'd wrap up with a story that Carmen Vertullo passed along to us that I guess could be construed as an ugly bolt story, kind of a follow-on. Follow-on to the training minute. The story he sent us came from CBSNews.com. It was dated June 21st. The headline, Men Expose Billion-Dollar Back Surgery Scam Involving Doctor Kickbacks and Fake Hardware. Now, it's a shocking tale that involves counterfeit fasteners being used in back surgeries. This happened, I guess, in California, Bri.
Wow. This is not what you want to hear, okay?
Yeah, it's not what you want to hear anywhere. CBS investigators discovered an apparent illegal scheme where middlemen were paid to find patients who had back problems and doctors who were paid kickbacks to perform spinal surgeries at specific hospitals and who used alleged bogus screws during the procedures. Now, these procedures left many patients in unbearable pain, and the whole thing was revealed to be a big scam, and CBS News covered it.
Oh, good. This reminds me of when you and I went to see Gary Polipnik of Fastenal up in his office in Madison, and he was in visible pain, and he had all this hardware on his desk that had been removed from his back. Oh, God.
Yeah. There was a lot of hardware, too, that they took out of, that they put in, then took out of his back.
Yes, I came away from that thinking I'm really, really grateful that I never had any back problems.
That put a big crimp in his golf game.
Yeah.
And his was not an issue, as far as we know, of counterfeit fasteners. But the point is, he had a whole pile of titanium sitting on his desk, and he was not a happy guy at that time. Well, back to this story. Ultimately, investigators learned that hospitals were not only overbilling for the spinal hardware, but in many instances, dangerous counterfeit hardware was implanted. And it wasn't cheap either, Bri. They say in the story that invoices were ranging from $350,000 to $475,000.
Right. And if you had paid $400,000 for some titanium stiffeners stuck in your spine, you'd really want them to be titanium, not some crappy old fake metal that could be known in the state of California to be dangerous.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole nother dimension to it.
Yeah, I know. There's the other problem.
Maybe it's a bona fide application of Prop 65.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any comments about Proposition 65 again now.
I guess the only thing worse, Bri, is if these fake screws were also affected by hydrogen embrittlement.
Okay, keep reading.
There's no way to tell how many people may have been implanted with the counterfeit hardware because, according to attorney Justin Berger, quote, you'd have to open up their backs, take out their screws, and have someone look at them. That's the only way you can tell if they're counterfeit or not, because they didn't use tracking lot numbers properly.
Oh, that is just awful.
And now, what does Carmen always say about lot traceability, Bri?
Yeah, I know. Right. Well, I know a lot about lot traceability too. Hey, we had to have lot traceability on our submarine right down to every bolt that was used on it.
Well, good thing the FDA wasn't overseeing your submarine.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
And never once to miss an opportunity to find ironic humor in the plight of fellow citizens, the feds have named their investigation into the scam Operation Spinal Cap.
Oh, God.
Obviously, we're making light of a serious story. You can get out there to cbsnews.com and look this up. was a scam, and some people have been convicted of some fraud charges, some business people, hospital administrators, and so forth. But we couldn't pass up talking about the fastener angle of it. And who knows how much humor we could have derived out of it had people who really understand what we're talking about been involved in the conversation, Bri. But
you as opposed to just us.
We did it the ugly way.
Yeah.
That's going to put a capstone.
Oh, good.
On this episode, which in some ways has been full of surface discontinuities, but there's always next time to try again.
Just as well.
And we hope you'll all join us
for more fun and predominantly fastener-related things.
That's what we do here on Fully Threaded Radio, everyone. Thanks for listening in. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, and we'll talk to you next time.
Until next time, folks.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.